Sunday Live here with the Average Joe Sports Show. That is the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, Prada Fairbury, Bill Doleman, Elijah Herbel, all smiles with his Denver Broncos. Early morning kickoff, Chris Schmidt. Fellas, there's still smiles in Husker Nation. 12 hours later, a thriller in College Park, Nebraska Magic. That 34-31 victory. Pretty awesome. A lot of Joes in the chat. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel, The Average Joe Sports Show. 7 days a week on Twitter, AJ Sports Pod, AJ Sports Radio. Pretty big-time thriller. Different feel than the last time Tanner Lee led Nebraska against that vaunted Purdue squad in 2017. I was in the old Larson household watching that thing, ready to throw the Comrex unit out a window if they were to fall at the goal line one more time. But we've seen the footage of a Nebraska fan on social media taking the close loss ledger and putting it into the shredder. That's pretty good. Guys, what's up? How are we?
Good. Hey, that's Stu Manji, by the way, on Twitter. His first name is Eric, and he's had that famous list. And it's very depressing. Yes, we got it shredded last night after a weird game, but a game that, first of all, Nebraska's 5-1, and there are a lot of teams that thought they'd be 5-1 this time of the year that are not. It was, for me, it was the epitome of a team win. Like, I don't know if this team is capable of playing 60 minutes, but maybe that's okay this year, because they're really good in the first quarter and they're really good in the fourth quarter. And in between, it's like you want to jump off a ledge. But last night, they would have one side of the ball would be struggling, the other side would pick them up, and then they would change space. They would change roles. Special teams were consistent throughout the night, which helps you win games like this. But Nebraska won a football game, guys, where they were -3 in turnovers. They had a running back run for over 170 yards and didn't score a touchdown. They had a lot of things go against them, but they finally turned the corner and having a team win where it is the epitome of a team win, but they're also taking advantage of the other team's opportunities. Like, I thought, if I'm Maryland, I'm livid that I lost that football game. You've forgotten how to play in a fourth quarter the last 2 weeks, but 3 personal foul penalties by veterans, just weird mistakes in the game that in the past, Nebraska were just like, oh, okay, we'll give you another opportunity. Nebraska started to take advantage of those, whether it be a short kick in the wind on a kickoff against Michigan State or some of the things they did yesterday. But when it was winning time, Nebraska found a way to win, and they're 5-1.
And I'm not sure if you guys checked it out, but I wanted to see Mike Loxley's post-game press conference. I watched that last night. Weird vibe in there from Loxley, where on one hand, like, you can tell he's a little shell-shocked that they lost that game, but he also seems a little bit PO'd about some of the personal fouls, like knowing they come from team leaders. Like, it was almost a palms at the sky. Like, it's my veterans. It's a captain and their defensive lineman who goes and hits Dylan late after the play. Like, weird vibe from Loxley, and you can tell he just had kind of a how did we lose that game type mentality.
Yeah, one quick thing on that. And the great guys at Big Red Junkies, among others, that are saying this. Nebraska is finally having teams pull Nebraska stuff against them. I mean, that's what it's kind of turned into 2025. That's a nice transition. Quick note on Loxley's post game. Malik Washington said they're having a players only meeting on Monday.
That's never good.
Yeah. 6 games in, it's players only. No, thank you. I mean,
maybe you do have that. You were in a game where you also scored 17 unanswered points in a game and lost, but
at home.
But Nebraska
was it home? I mean, you had 10,000 Nebraska fans.
That's Gary mentioned that they ought to be livid. They ought to be livid that they didn't realize that Nebraska fans would be showing up and would be half of your stadium. I'm sure they were happy for the gate. But, most teams around the country have learned that if Nebraska's coming into the neighborhood, you might want to fortify the place. And they didn't do that. So Nebraska had, and Matt Rule mentioned it, as much of a home field advantage as they did. So a lesson learned, I guess, for Maryland. made for a much better atmosphere than a regular Maryland home game. Justice Rhodey asked me last night on the Overreaction show that or Real Red Reaction. Gary's yours the overreaction. Was I surprised by Mike Loxley and the personal fouls? And no, I covered that team when they were in New Mexico, and that's Mike Loxley's teams. They make those kinds of mistakes. He's a great guy, but there's just an undisciplined nature to their team that that doesn't surprise me that they were making those mistakes and that there were drop passes.
You said that 100%, Sharpie. I mean, you called the drop passes. Sorry, Bill, but
no,
that was all part of it, right?
But,
I mean,
but
wow.
you know, look, he would have been shell shocked that he won in Lincoln 2 years ago. That to me was more surprising than what happened in Maryland yesterday, based on those personal foul penalties and the undisciplined nature of Maryland football.
Speaking of undisciplined, the Broncos just got called for a holding in the end zone. It's a safety.
That happens.
They now trailed the Jets 11-10, which means scoregami could be in play. 11-10.
We're in the bottom of the fourth.
This game is scintillating. Hey, I miss the days back when you would watch it like a live broadcast from like the British Open or something, and the quality of the video was just barely better than the alleged moon landing. You know, I miss those days. Now I thought this game was like in the Meadowlands or something, but no, it's in London.
Yeah, which, by the way, Indiana beating a top 5 team, the last time they did it was 2 years before a man landed on the moon. Hey, on that note, Bill, and I know this has started to go up in the chat, you know, when you win, you don't really bring it up, but I wonder if Nebraska will send the clip of the hit on Raiola and then the follow-up hit on Raiola to the Big Ten office.
First one I don't think was necessarily that bad. Going low is a tough scene, but also he kind of jumped in the air and made it a weird spot. As he's limping off the field, getting hit after the interception, I think after the whistle, that one is something that should be sent off to the league office, in my opinion.
Well, here's a couple of my thoughts. One, the defensive lineman was engaged. I mean, there was a Nebraska blocker there, so he was trying to I'm not condoning going low on
Sounds like you are.
Players. I'm saying in the heat of the battle, he was trying to shoot through versus going high, right, and headbutting the guy. So there was engagement with the offensive lineman. That's a possible gray area. Two, the pick was thrown. So if Raiola is going to be an 11th man out there to go try and make a play on a return, he's live, right? So you typically don't worry about quarterbacks making tackles, right? So, but it's open season on those fellas.
So
it's the quarterback still retains a form of protection there. It's not open season if they are not actively making a play on the football. And
I think and the first part of it, I'm with what you guys said. The second part is where I wonder if Nebraska just slides that into the conference. All right, what, in you guys' opinion, and everybody in the chat, what was the most important play of yesterday? So this is kind of fun because there were a lot of them in the course of this wacky 60-minute football game.
You know what I think?
I think there were some early, and then of course there were two late in the last two possessions of the game. Not Maryland's last possession, but the possession before Nebraska got the ball on the game-winning drive.
I think I circle Emmett Johnson's 50-yard run. I think that energized the offense. I think that energized the sideline. 31-24 felt insurmountable with how the offense and just the vibe of the game. But for Emmett to refuse to tap out and for him to rip that run off, it led to 3. But to me, that gave the juice they needed for the final push. I mean, you look at the second half, Nebraska struggled with getting off the field on third down until the fourth quarter. Maryland was 0 for 3. Nebraska also came alive with their offensive line. And I mean, 19 plays, the final 6-7 minutes for the Nebraska offense, I think wore it down. I thought Dana did a hell of a job with committing to the run game and Emmett kind of setting the tone early. but it was that run, Sharpie, to me, that 50-yarder that gave them the jolt.
I'll go with
the thing about that. The other thing about that run, real quickly, that's the drive that ended up with a field goal that had the delay of game, and when you were going to go for it on 4th down, which actually you could say this after the fact, might have been a blessing because I have no idea what they were going to run on 4th down.
Exactly. Yeah, 100% agree.
4th and 5 is a tough spot to be in there. Nebraska hasn't had much success.
1st and goal from the 8 is a tough spot for Nebraska to be in.
And we'll probably have to get into some of that play calling down inside the 10 here. You saved yourself with that touchdown to Key late, but on those final 2 possessions, man, it was heart and mouth time. I'll go with the intentional grounding that on Malik Washington on that final drive. That changed the scope of that final drive. It did feel like, based on what Malik Washington had done that game, that he had one more drive in him to go down and at least tie the football game. And Nebraska in an overtime, oh boy, that would have been a sight to behold based on what the last 10 years have been.
That's this Friday.
Maybe it was a chance for them to change the narrative. But that intentional grounding was huge. They probably still should have picked up the 1st down and 4th down, that throw was slightly behind him. But that intentional grounding to me was the game-winning play. Despite what your offense did, I'll give some credit to the defense because Maryland did have a couple timeouts and enough time to go down and tie that football game up.
There's a McCullough play in there as well.
I thought
the next to last possession before Nebraska gets the ball back on the punt, and Barney, I've been saying that all week that Barney's going to return a punt. He was close on that punt on the game-winning drive. He was really, really close. Oh, by the way, we need to figure out what Mike Eckler is thinking tomorrow morning, because he wakes up on Monday morning and he's like, you know what? Against Michigan State, we're going to block a punt. He was telling people all last week that they're going to return a kickoff. They're going to have a monster kickoff return. So we need to find out what he thinks about Minnesota. But if you go back to that where Maryland had to punt the football, I thought on that 3rd down, I thought that was John Butler's best play call of the day, because Washington had no idea. I thought they were going to throw it to the tight end because I thought, oh, God, they're going to leak the tight end out and they're going to hit the tight end and he's going to get enough for a 1st down. But they threw a coverage at them that they had not seen, and, they threw it at a true freshman. I thought that was a great play call by Butler in that moment.
My first inclination is the kickoff return because they could have seized momentum entirely, and Williams almost taking it to the end zone. I think that is one that probably triggered Maryland mentally. That here they had some momentum, and it's little short fuse plays. Like, I shouldn't say short fuse plays, but I think that lights a short fuse that they become an undisciplined team, that they can get down, they can get kicked. That, Washington, they lose to Washington twice. Here we go again. Now I'm pissed off. Now I got a personal foul penalty. Even though that was a little earlier in the game, but that swung the momentum. It took it right back away from them after doing what they had done. So the kickoff, to me, is there's probably one hidden in there somewhere, with some subtlety, like you said, Gary, where you're going, that was that 3rd down play. But the kickoff return, again, further solidifies Nebraska's special teams for the season. And good on them to give him a scholarship. I thought everybody was on scholarship now, or at least got a bunch of burritos. So good on him to get a scholarship after a couple of nice returns.
One more I want to bring up here, if you don't mind, Gary, is that Lindenmeyer catch on 1st down in the final drive, where Dillon evades pressure in the backfield, finds Lindenmeyer, a missed tackle later, and your drive has been set up. That set the table. And how many times have we seen Nebraska have a disaster play of some sort on a potential game-winning drive? That could have been disaster in the backfield where you're sacked inside your own 10-yard line. Ryle makes a man miss, which, hey, a lot of fans been talking about his pocket presence and his escapability. He got out of that one, flipped the hips, threw it back to Lindenmeyer, and Lindenmeyer does the rest. That was a huge play that set the table for that entire final drive.
Isn't this a wild discussion? So one quick to add to what you just said, Bill, about the kickoff return by Williams. And I think he's one of those guys that is outside the 105. So he's now inside of the 105 or whatever, somebody's paying out of their pocket. But if you remember, Maryland had scored back-to-back touchdowns. So there was the interception where, Dillon stares down the defensive back and throws it right to him. And then Maryland gets the touchdown, and that's the kickoff right after their 2nd straight touchdown. And all of a sudden, Williams returns at 85 yards. Brother, run to the corner. run to the corner. He was running straight down the field, but it was a great moment. Isn't it great in this discussion about yesterday and how weird the game was and how Nebraska finds a way to play the role of you don't win those games. Like Nebraska won a game where Maryland at the end had a guy wide open on the left side of the field and Washington looked right. That guy is still running. That guy might be in Richmond this morning, still running with the football, and there's nobody around him. So, like, the roles in these kind of games reversed. But we're having this discussion, and the play that will show up on the highlight reel isn't one we've even brought up. And that's Dylan falling down and his long pass to Hunter.
What a route that was.
Hey, there's wide receiver one, and I think it's a real conversation to start talking about, is Hunter going to show up on some All-American team right now?
Could. I mean, you keep going to him. He was dynamic against Sparty, and it's total. We talked about the collection of receivers, the different skill sets they have, and you know when Dana was talking about Hunter, even early in the spring, about he's a kid that can run by people, right? That's the phrasing he used. I mean, his 0 to 60 is nice. The size he has as a wideout is good. And then he is got that shiftiness along with the speed. But we thought that he was a guy that could be one of the big yak yard guys. And he has shown that the last 2 weeks, on top of just making some nice, but it's also part of that routine discussion. You make the routine play, and the routine plays as simple as a 12-yard pass on that tunnel that turns into 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks. So, no, I mean, guys are doing their job. They were paid to play here for a reason, and excellent scouting to go out and get a dude that flashed on film briefly at Cal, right? And go get him here, because no, I mean, we're talking all Big Ten somewhere, and we're talking potential All-American squad. He's big time.
I think where he's going to show up is on draft boards, and people have been waiting for who's going to be a first day guy. You got a receiver who can run 23 miles an hour without a shoe on and do it consistently, as he's shown in back-to-back weeks in the same play. He's got great hands. I would not doubt if they're talking about him very highly when it comes next April and the draft rolls around, that he could be in that first round conversation for what he did at Cal, what he's doing at Nebraska. And he's a difference maker. And, why not be a day one guy?
Well, and he's only a sophomore right now. Which is,
I thought he was a junior.
No, he's a sophomore.
Oh, well, only a few years from now then.
Yeah. But the thing is about the Big Ten is right now he's probably like a second team All Big Ten guy, because Ohio State has Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Schmidt.
Ohio State has their wide receiver room.
That's kind of that's unfair to the rest of the conference.
Well, and USC is not bad either.
No, what the hell was that last night?
You know what that was? USC finally looked like a Big Ten team. They were physical in the line of scrimmage.
Well, they had the dudes to do it. I mean, you look at the recruiting; they just they turned to a walk-on running back to go a little blue collar on Big Blue. That was a stroke of genius.
Hey, can we? And I know we're going to jump around here because there's a lot to discuss from yesterday, and then also another chaotic day that makes college football so great is because there's a lot of discussion about, okay, has the ceiling changed? Because you're 5-1, and I think Nebraska's found a way to win back-to-back games when they haven't won those kind of games, or they found the win probability has gone against them when it's so bad, but they are able to flip it. If you look at how the schedule is now playing out, all of a sudden UCLA has a pulse. USC, Nebraska, November 1 is going to be a monster game at Memorial Stadium, but USC has a night game this upcoming week against Notre Dame. Penn State is a dumpster fire. And now they've got to find a starting quarterback because Aller's out for the year. Then you have Iowa, who I know Wisconsin is bad, and it's only going to get worse in Madison. And I think NIL has killed Wisconsin football, among other things, is Iowa might have a little momentum starting to pick up. So, like, you rearrange the difficulty of schedule because, guys, if you watch Minnesota play last night, they had a rally to win against Purdue, and Nebraska's a 5.5-point favorite going up to a place where they just don't win, and Minnesota owns Nebraska, but Emmett will have a chip on his shoulder to try and run for 1,000,000 yards. is Minnesota got gouged on the ground in the run game. So like the schedule of the most difficult games to the least difficult is like moving week to week. And all Nebraska has to do is just keep their head above water. And you could get to mid-November or late November and people are going, whoa, what's going on here?
Well, it's like I said last night, Gary, Nebraska needs to avoid being upset at Penn State.
Here's the thing that's beautiful about this football team right now. Despite the inconsistencies they have, back to your Hunter point, Nebraska has talent to overcome their mistakes. They haven't had that in past years, or they haven't had enough of it, or they haven't had the mentality to go out there and just really move on to what's next. Two, their confidence right now is just continuing to grow. I mean, they don't care. They feel like they're going to go make the next play, and they're going to go make the winning play. That is something a Nebraska team hasn't had. You talk about infectious. They're going to take it with them to Minnesota and beyond. I don't know what their ceiling is. They're finding ways to win tight ball games. That's incredible. And it's just two. But the schedule you laid out, there's many more on the schedule. Do they keep on keeping on? I think it's too big a ask to go win them all in tight fashion, because there's other talented teams. But hey man, they're feeling great about themselves. How much can they clean up as the season continues on? Because do they have to continue to be tight games is the other question. Do you fix your mistakes and then just grow and go ball out and actually go blow some people up?
Well, you had an opportunity on Friday night. That Minnesota team escaped against Purdue last night. They're a good football team. I think Maryland's a better football team. It's going to be a tougher road environment. We'll see. But we could be talking. If Sharon Moore was on the sideline in Lincoln, would Nebraska be 6-0 right now? That's a question that needs to be asked. There's some coaching
Michigan fans. Michigan fans will pull the no comment right now.
Yeah. So go back to something that Schmidt said, because I think we're seeing the new Nebraska that is learning how to win these games. Now I'm going to be a little bit greedy here. I need a couple more of them before I say it's ingrained, because Michigan State, Maryland. So I just need a couple of more, but they're headed in the right direction. They've shown growth. They've still got some flaws. Nobody is a perfect team in college football this year, but except for maybe the team that plays in Columbus and maybe the team that plays in Bloomington and the team that plays or their campuses in Coral Gables. But as they become a team and they're winning team games, is these close games that cardiologists around the state of Nebraska are making a lot of money off Husker fans, okay? Because they're handing out pills right and left. Do you think Rule looks at this team, knows they have some work to do, knows that they're not built to blow teams out, that they're going to play in close games, so that's why he keeps reiterating it, to get it over that mental block, because it's a mental thing, is mentally we're going to play in close games. Now let's figure out how to win them. And that's the step you take. Once you get over the hump, then we can talk about step on the throat mentality that like a Signetti has. But right now, Nebraska is talking, all these games are going to be close. So guys, think about that. All right, we're going to be in a close game. Even if things are going south, it's still going to be a close game. So we're not going to crater. It's a very interesting thing that started from the beginning of this season, talking about close games. And now they played in all of their Big Ten games have been close games that they've had to find a way in the fourth quarter, either not to be able to come back or to find a way to put the game away. Because let me look this up, and then I'll let you guys discuss. The last two games in the fourth quarter. Do you know what Nebraska has done?
They have outscored their opponent, and they have shut out their opponent.
Yeah. So first and second quarters, the last 2 weeks, Nebraska's outscored their opponents 48-6. The middle of the game in the second and third quarters, they've been outscored 52-24.
So you let them, you let them back in. It's what you do, and then you slam the door. You put a 2-minute drill together yesterday in crunch time. You go 10-0 in the fourth quarter point wise. and defensively they're 0-3 on third down, and then you get off the field on 4th and short. So your offense won it for you to take the lead. Your defense kept them from taking the game back and causing misery. So that's huge. That's huge on the road right there. Where, I mean, think about the swings of emotion. I mean, just the fans that we were around in the rail yard yesterday. I mean, it is roller coaster city with the fans living and dying on every play. And then the joy you hear and see with Nebraska fans with that touchdown pass and then that 4th down. I mean, the sound, as a Nebraska fan, but what the team's doing right now is impressive. It's just how long can you live life like that?
I'm wondering about the mentality and going back to what Nebraska's approach is, and every week is going to be this way. You just have to expect that in the Big Ten. And every coach everywhere always says that. Look, I'm not somebody who watches Curt Cignetti's press conferences every week. I just hear what he says every week on every other clip. Do they approach every game like, well, we're going to go to Eugene and kick their ass?
I think they do.
They do.
So I think there's a uniqueness to everybody. Kirby Smart or whomever. That's just the way it is in this league, week in and week out. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight. And Cignetti's going, we're going to go to Oregon and we're going to beat the hell out of them, and we're going to, take your duck and come back home.
We're going to cook the duck.
He just seems. I was impressed that he said we're going to enjoy this win tonight. I was like, what? You are? Because he just seems so angry. He's unique. He's one of the most unique personalities I've seen in 50 plus years of watching college football. That he just has that heel mentality and he embraces it. I hope he never leaves Indiana. I hope he builds that into a powerhouse and doesn't leave for Penn State or Florida or any other job, because I think it's pretty cool what he's doing. But I don't think he preaches to his team like, guys, they're just as good as you are. We're going to try and eke out a win. No. Well, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to be gone.
The cult of personality around Cignetti is building. Think about what that program is going to be if they can actually get elite talent in there. And they have good talent right now. They've done well in the transfer portal for themselves, but they don't have
the trenches.
They don't have 5 stars. You look at their trenches, and it's like there's no one on their offensive and defensive line that stands out. It's like, man, everyone in the country wanted him. You know what I noticed about their offensive line? Their offensive line stays on blocks longer than any team I've seen in college football. Those guys hold their blocks, and it's just overwhelming effort. Like, they're not getting 5-6 yards of push against Oregon's defensive line, but Oregon can't get off blocks. So Roman Himby's able to go for 5-6 yards. It's just a fundamentally sound football team that plays with overwhelming effort. It's a well-coached team. He might be the best coach in the Big Ten. That might not even be a might. I think he is. I might be saying it early, but with what he's done with his talent, turning them into that product he has in the field, it's just, simply put, one of the most fundamentally sound teams in the country that plays with, I think, better effort than about anybody else.
So what was the Saban line? College football today, and we're in a new era of college football. College football looks like the NFL light in terms of building rosters, but how games are played. You don't see blowouts in the NFL very often. Okay. So games are going to be tight. So there you go, back to the rule NFL mentality of games are going to be tight. But now we're in a new era is where Indiana can be considered on October 12th, one of the top 3 teams in college football in the year of our Lord 2025. I'm not sure if it's the year of our Lord, but that just sounds really good. It's what have you done for me right now? Not in the past. Where are you at right now? But I think what did Saban say? College football today is all about 75% of talent acquisition and just 25% X's and O's. I think that's what he said. And kind of going to your point, Elijah, they went into the portal after the Hall of James Madison guys at the beginning. They've spent smart money. That's the whole thing. Like, if you look up and down Nebraska's money they spent in the offseason, is there more on the ledger of smart money compared to money not spent well? Like Andrew Marshall quietly is a nice, solid player. We talked about Hunter. You could probably put EJ on there because they had to pay to keep EJ. Remember, Emmett Johnson went into the portal, and they were like, whoa. You're getting some bad advice. Let's discuss this. And then they came to a conclusion. He's like, yep, Nebraska is the best place for me. So I don't know. It's whoever is able to navigate the landscape of college football right now and stay ahead of the curve. But if you are behind the curve, I don't know that you catch up. But you then again, isn't everybody one coach away? Indiana hired a guy that nobody else would take a chance on, that just flat out is a winner and has been around winners his entire career. And he's an older guy. He's not like this young, hip, mid-40s guy. Signetti is what, 61?
61, 62.
Indiana was like, we got a sleeping giant. Here we go. Let's take a chance. And they were one coach away. And now Indiana, it's going to suck because they might be a top 4 seed, so they won't get to host a playoff game in Bloomington, but they're going to be back in the playoff for the second straight year. Indiana, we're not talking basketball. We're talking football.
He, another Saban disciple. I mean, it comes down to, he was Saban's recruiting coordinator, and he knows what incredible talent is. He has got enough of a personality to push the buttons. He's no nonsense. I mean, Doleman, we were riding up in the elevator with him and his team from media days, and he was MFing him because he had to wait 5 minutes for him.
I was scared. You know,
I mean, it was.
Were you talking to me?
Yeah, it was. You broke curfew, and Dad's waiting up to kick your ass.
That's not the guy to have an elevator conversation.
No, he just kind of looks at us and then just tears into his 3 kids. We're gonna leave sometime soon. What the hell are you doing? Why are you signing autograph? I mean, he's the Grinch, and he is tough to like for some people, and he's got a monster chip on his shoulder because he's had to wait till he's 61 or 60 years old to get a Power 4 job. He has done. He has done time.
Not that old, okay. But anyway,
so he's 64.
Okay. So he's done time, though, at the James Madisons after being Saban's dude, recruiting coordinator. Usually you get kind of fast-tracked somewhere. He didn't, and he remembers. Everyone
Here's what was significant about bringing all those James Madison guys was those guys understood the culture. And they were willing to go. What was it? 28 guys went to Indiana with him from James Madison. So it wasn't like they were bringing a couple of people going, hey, dude, what was he like over there? No, it was like en masse. You had 28 people saying, if you want to play here, you better get used to what it's going to be like here. So he had an influx of guys who believed in him, trusted him, and could permeate all corners of the locker room and establish the culture and say, this is what it's like. It wasn't just 1 or 2. It was everybody they brought with him. And that helped him get that culture established. At least that's what I believe. Right.
And it is culture. And I'm not sitting here saying Indiana has bad talent. Indiana has top 25 talent. Indiana does not have top 5 in the country talent. And I kind of fear what that place will be if Signetti can start reeling in 5-star recruits. He's done really well with his talent evaluation, getting the right guys, but he doesn't have any overwhelming talent like you see with the Oregons and Ohio States and Georgias of the world. And I know that the talent is dispersed a little bit more in college football, but Signetti does not have a top 5 roster in the sport. He's a top 5 team in the sport. That's a full credit to him and the culture he's built and just the way he gets his teams to play. It's special.
Hey, sometimes coaches are just really good coaches. I mean, Texas A&M has more money than God, and they spend a lot of money. You're always one coach away. Texas A&M went and got Mike Elko. Mike Elko's a good football coach. Texas A&M's 6-0, and they're a good football team. Yeah, did they spend a lot on the roster? Yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. Now, Texas Tech spent a lot on their roster. They got a winner at head coach. Okay, you just win. You know how to take the guys that you spend a lot of money on and the guys that you develop and mesh them together and win on Saturdays. And I mean, I think it's great for the sport that Joey McGuire, Kurt Signetti, Mike Elko, all of those guys are being mentioned as some of the best teams in the country because it gives the Matt Rules of the world who have more resources potentially, a chance. It makes the sport so much better that it's not just dominated by a few teams. They might dominate the recruiting trail, but do they dominate it on Saturday when you line it up and you play X's and O's with helmets and headsets?
Okay, so then let's throw this out on the table. Is Matt Rule in that category?
Well, I was going to ask, while we're talking X's and O's here, can we talk about the Husker defense yesterday? I thought they got out schemed all afternoon long. I did not like the game plan from the Husker defense, which seemed to be sit back.
Didn't like the tackling.
Didn't like the tackling. Didn't like. I mean, I haven't gone and charted the game. I did rewatch the game last night. I didn't see Nebraska bring more than 5 guys to get after Malik Washington. I thought usually the game plan is whenever you have a young quarterback is harass him, put pressure on him, and see what he does whenever the clock is sped up. It was very rare to see Nebraska speed up his clock yesterday.
Until the end.
Didn't love they did it at the right time, but didn't love the defensive game plan from Nebraska. It was a lot of 3 and 4 man rushes trying to get after a freshman quarterback and let him sit back and pick you apart.
I think with Washington, a lot of his throws have been the underneath check down deal. So maybe that was part of not wanting to bring an extra man. They wanted more bodies to go get the dump off or the underneath pass. Maybe that was part of the numbers game. But to your point, Bill, Nebraska got after it that final drive when they had to with some pressures. The intentional grounding, Elijah, you're right on it.
I still think in the last drive they brought some stunts, but did they bring more than 5 on that final drive? I don't think they did.
So I mean, if you look at, here's the difference from last year to this year. So points per play, Nebraska's made an 89 slot jump. Points per play on defense, they've dropped back 5. Mm-hmm. Yes, they wanted to keep everything underneath yesterday, and that's okay if you're going to do that, but their tackling was atrocious. Their angles were bad. Rex Guthrie, my man. Rex Guthrie had a bad day, and they were starting to pick on him. And, they weren't able to get to him until the end. So that middle portion of the game, they just got picked apart. There's another part of Nebraska winning yesterday where you go, wow. Remember, beginning of the second half, Maryland was running the football, and they were running the same exact play. They were running a gap scheme where they were manhandling Nebraska up front, and it wasn't anything they were doing specific. They were just winning one-on-one battles. So I don't know what went into the whole decision about the way you were going to play defense. I think everything wanted to keep underneath, not let Heater beat you with a big boy throw. But also, if you're going to do that, bring a little extra pressure, but you got to tackle well. And I don't think Nebraska tackled very well. But at the end, they found a way, just like Cincinnati, to make a play to give the ball back to the defense or to seal a game, or back to the offense or to seal a game. It's a strange team that they may not go through the whole year, guys, and they don't have the ability to play a full 60 minutes of football against a Power 4 team, but they have the ability to be good in the fourth quarter when it matters. And that's something that we haven't seen.
You'll take that trait, the ability to be good in crunch time. Maybe it shouldn't have been as close. Maybe it's too close for comfort, but in the end, you figure it out. That's the Iron Horse. Gary Sharp, Bill Doleman, Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt, weekend edition and Sunday live here of the Average Joe Sports Show. Tell a friend. We get together Sundays at 10:30 and recap Nebraska football, the weekend that's been. Like and subscribe to the Average Joe Sports Show on YouTube, on Twitter, AJ Sports Radio, AJ Sports Pod. More of your comments will scroll through. I want to ask you guys, what did you think of the linebackers yesterday? And I know Buddha had 12 tackles, and Vincent had a couple of big-time hits. But I thought Maryland did a good job of getting people open on linebacker coverage. I thought there was a lot of plays, again, to my amateur eye, where I thought the linebackers were either out of position or there was some sort of disconnect where there was just a lot of wide open receivers. There's a lot of wide open receivers for Maryland yesterday.
They created great mismatches. I watched the game again last night, and in part because I wanted to watch the drops because Gary mentioned it yesterday on the show. And they are really good route runners and pretty good receivers when they need to complete the play. But I thought they did a nice job of creating mismatches. I was a little surprised that Shavers was a step slower than many of the guys that he was trying to cover. I seem to remember him being a lot faster last year. And maybe that's just because of the singular matchups that he had against Maryland. But I thought Maryland's offensive game plan was pretty good. Nebraska didn't put pressure on him. Malik Washington took advantage of that. The tackling wasn't great, but boy, the drops they have, I don't know what the numbers were, but they had some critical moments where they should have made plays or at least helped Washington out. Whereas Nebraska, on the other hand, the receivers made plays, they made catches, they made tough catches. I don't think the same can necessarily be said for Maryland, other than that was it the first or second touchdown when they backed into the end zone? That was the best catch of the day for them.
I just felt like Nebraska defensively ran a lot of zone. And I thought Malik Washington did well. He got time in the pocket to go sit back, make it through his progressions, and pick apart his zone, which kind of felt like what happened with Dylan Raiola early last season. Whenever other teams figured out, hey, if we just go man coverage and try to get after Dylan, he's going to struggle. I was surprised we didn't see Nebraska just try to pull that out, because I thought it was just a lot of zone. Let Malik Washington sit back. The pass rush didn't do a very good job getting home. And it was Malik Washington finding the soft spot in the zone, finding the man. That was, I don't know, you'll take a win. Just didn't love what I saw from a defensive X's and O's point of view.
Yeah, there were times where, and I asked this because I don't recall, did Shavers come back into the game after he got injured?
I think so.
Okay.
He did, but you saw a lot of, Watson, Trent. He played a lot of snaps as well yesterday and was up there with tackles. Yeah. But you just had Vince trailing in coverage a lot.
So the thing that yesterday also kind of reminded you, Nebraska still doesn't have a lot of guys that can go sideline to sideline. They do really well going north to south, but when they have to go sideline to sideline, it gets a little bit iffy. There were times where Maryland did a really good job, kind of on Bill's point, of mismatches, where Nebraska had nobody on the second level except for Shavers, and he had to go sideline to sideline. So they did a good job of exploiting that. Wright had a good game. They had to cover a lot more than do run stops.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily know right now that's their strength. So, everybody is a copycat. Does other teams try and do all the crossing routes, and say, hey, we're going to keep running these until you stop them, because we're going to put you in stressful situations. It's just, they just don't have enough guys that can go east or sideline to sideline, east, west, like just boom, and they'll make plays. They're more of a good defense going north, south, and stopping people in front of them. That's why yesterday was so disturbing, is that they had guys in front of them and they just couldn't tackle them. They took bad angles. There were a lot of bad angles on tackles yesterday.
Well, and I'll live with some zone coverage versus man coverage in a crosser where you got a linebacker matched up on a slot guy, God forbid, and it's a house call because it's just a one-on-one deal. So that might be part of it. Comment here from Brian, and I want to go here because I thought this was a good story as well. With Turner Corcoran coming in at left tackle, was it just, fellas, that final series, or did he enter in on the field goal series? I'm not sure, but he was in on the final touchdown drive, did a really nice job, and he was ready. Yeah. That's a good story. That's really cool for Turner to come in on the ready. And Nebraska, listen, they ran the football. They gave up one sack. So the offensive line did a pretty good job of answering the bell after a week of hell they caught with Michigan State.
Yeah. So, let's give a little love to Elijah Herbel. Mr.
He needs it right now.
I just say, now they're going to have to kick a field goal. Damn.
Yeah. He needs a hug right now.
Okay.
That Broncos defense will be fine. The Jets don't have a game-winning drive in them.
Oh, all right. Remember that. Let's stay on the air long enough for Elijah to be wrong. Go Chiefs. So Pritchett got stepped on Wednesday. He went to the East Coast. He was wearing a boot. They walked him through on Friday, and then they kind of extensively ramped him up in warmups yesterday. They said he was good to go. Let's give some love to not only Pritchett, but also Justin Evans on the Hunter touchdown. Yes. Okay, those guys are downfield blocking, and that's a bad wheel, and Pritchett's downfield. He got hurt, so the you're right, Schmidt, the field goal drive is when Corcoran came in, because Corcoran had come in a couple of times as the blocking tight end. Right. So he came in, and they also left him in the 69 jersey. Nice. Because they thought he's going to have to be needed. Remember, Kanak is now, I guess, a guard. Right. Who the hell knows what's going on there? But he came in that drive, the second to last drive. He played fully on the touchdown drive, and he actually did a really good job in pass pro. Like he looked comfortable. I don't know what Pritchett's status is on a short week, but Teddy only played 1 snap in the game. Basically all those offensive linemen, they played every snap again for the 2nd straight week, and then Pritchett would have played every snap if he wouldn't have gotten hurt. So I that's probably something to watch. But if Corcoran has to come in and start, how do you feel about that? Because he looked pretty good yesterday.
Well, he looked good.
It was after the Pritchett got beat on an inside move, pass rush wise.
The holding call.
Yeah, and got popped for holding, and I believe it was after that whenever they pulled him from that game.
Rule said he kind of re-injured himself, but yeah,
he wasn't fully healthy going into that. He gave
fair.
it a go.
Yeah,
and I think Maryland started exposing that as the game went on. I do want to say on the right side though, credit Gunnar Gatula.
He was
nice. Another quiet performance at the right tackle spot. Back-to-back weeks where Gunner's been quiet over there. Perfect? No. Quiet, more steady than he was on the left side. Yes, it's the more natural position for him. To make that move mid-season from left tackle to right tackle is not as easy as he has made it look. And there's going to be moments where he does not look perfect on the right side. It's a tough move to make, but it was a good performance from him. So
I didn't look at the stats. How many times was Raiola sacked?
only 1 time.
1 sack and only I think maybe five hurries.
They allowed 5 quarterback hurries.
So the offensive line did its job. I think there was a really cool moment, and this was right before the 2-minute drill in the 4th quarter, or the 2-minute timeout, and you could just kind of see the body language of Turner being in there. He's back at it. It's a game-winning drive. It's go time, and it's him and Henry kind of holding each other in the huddle. And I thought that was really, both those dudes have been at Nebraska for 100 years, and they're like, wow, we're trying to go win this thing. And I thought it exemplified that brotherhood that they talk about. It was cool.
Well, yeah, they were solid. I think EJ, because people will look at, man, they had a guy that almost ran for 2 bills. I think EJ made a lot of plays on his own. I mean, he was a baller yesterday. But the offensive line never had that colossal just breakdown where it just killed momentum. Dillon only got sacked once. I thought Holgerson is very cognizant of that group trying to grow together, because look at their game plan. They had a lot of screens. Nebraska's best pass play might be a screen, because Holgerson is really good at designing screens, but he did it to help the 5 up front and his quarterback. So we'll see if that continues. But they were solid. The no colossal breakdowns. And I will tell you a guy that kind of gets lost because he's a man in the middle. Justin Evans has had a very good career of developing. Like if you're gonna put Donovan Raiola on the bench, the bench in a courtroom, and say, why should we keep you? Justin Evans would be one of those guys who would go, hey, look where he was when we got him. Look where we moved him to. And he's played solid. I know he had the 15-yard penalty against Michigan State, but he's played solid. And I thought he was good again yesterday. And that's a huge position where we really haven't had to worry about it in Nebraska for a few years. You go from Juergens, Ben Scott comes in, and you go like, oh, damn, Ben Scott, he's gone now. And they haven't really missed a beat at center.
That screenplay to Hunter is becoming Evan's signature play. Everybody now watches Hunter go, and then on the replay, people are going to see what Evans did, because he did the same thing yesterday that he did against Michigan State. Snap the ball, make a block, go get the perimeter, and set the guy free. Great play.
Speaking of O-line breakdowns, Jets go 3 and out after the O-line breaks down, and Justin Fields gets killed in the backfield. So feeling good about my prediction there.
All right. Bo Nix drops back to pick 6.
No.
Wow.
Hey, Nick Benito.
But here's the thing. So now on a short week, Purdue outrushed Minnesota. Is it 2? It's 230 to 253 to 30 or something in that range. Purdue does not run the ball very well, and yet they had great success. So Nebraska goes up to Minnesota short week. Do they commit to the run like the opening drive yesterday? And they're darting down the field, and then all of a sudden we believe that we are Air Nebraska. I'll be curious to see how Minnesota, if they can flip it because they got run over by Purdue, and that should not happen. Does Nebraska go with a dedicated, let's just line them up behind the hog mollies and down the field?
This is a 30 touches for Emmett type game, in my opinion. Michigan, or Minnesota's defense, I should say, not great. They're opportunistic. They seem to get takeaways when they need them. Emmett Johnson has shown himself, I know he's got the one this year, but has shown himself to not be a guy that fumbles the ball much at all. And he's a guy that's going to be juiced up for this football game. He even talked about it preseason.
He's got to play under control. He's got to hone it and harness it and feed off of that emotion, that edge, that I'll show you, you should have recruited me, but you can't let it overtake you.
Well,
Too many times guys go back home when they play in their home stadium, they're out of sorts. That happens. And so do a good job of managing that.
As quirky as he can be, and he is a good friend to the Average Joe Sports Show, PJ Fleck and his staff is much better than the Maryland staff. So I mean, so look, this will be a little bit more chess than checkers, and they are fully aware of Emmett Johnson and the storyline and all that stuff. And you know, if PJ's going to audition for Happy Valley, you know, beating Nebraska after Nebraska beat Maryland might be the kind of game to do that.
It's going to be a hell of a ball game Friday.
Yeah.
It just will be. But you have great momentum if you're Nebraska.
Oh, 3rd down and 9. Aaron Glenn, bring the house. Maybe knock the ball out of Nix's hand. Can we, now that it's well past the fact that Nebraska won the game, can we have another discussion about Nebraska's opening drives?
Sure.
I love the beginning because it was a lot of Emmett. Then you get down to the final 4 plays. What did we think of the first down play?
Remind me of that. I'm pulling it up. But I think you went away.
Short arm to pass incomplete.
Yeah. I think
it seemed like it killed the momentum of that entire drive.
Turned into 2nd and 10. Yes. I think there's this obligation. Well, we've got a high-profile quarterback. We got to use him. We got to let him throw versus maybe sticking with it. What I don't like for Nebraska is their execution on 4th and short. They have been garbage in the red zone on 4th and short when they try and run the football going heavy under center. It's the same play that they got stuffed on against Michigan. It's the same play they got stuffed on to kind of kill that drive and really just put wideout all over a hell of an opening few plays that took you right down the field to start the game. So that play, as much as you want it to work and you want to impose your will and be physical, you are not getting 2 yards. You haven't all season. Run it out of the shotgun, figure out something, but that same play call where you try and go heavy and play bully ball, you've not been able to do.
Well, can we and it was funny, Elijah brought up play action yesterday and they actually ran a really successful play. Can we just get rid of, because I didn't like the play call because it was rushed. You know, it's almost like Nebraska did not, you know, like, okay, should we just let Cunanan kick it? By the way, no missed field goals yesterday. Should we let Cunanan kick it? No, let's go for it. And then the play was rushed. Like you look at it getting into the huddle, it being called and guys getting in the line of scrimmage. So I didn't like the play. But my God, and this isn't just a Nebraska thing, running a 4th down and 2 out of the shotgun. Oh, for God's sake, let's please stop that.
But they've not been good under center, dude. But
I would rather run under center that way than out of shotgun because I think it's a tell.
Well, they're just not good on 4th and short running it. But they've tried to line up in that ace formation, double tight, go right, and it's caved in on them on 4th and short this season.
Whatever happened to the Heine push? I know they haven't got themselves in like 4th.
How about the old zone read?
That we're at the point where on like 4th and goal from the 2. I think as much as I hate it, I think I might feel more confident in an Isaiah Hunter fade route than I do in just handing the ball off from under center.
Elijah, Elijah, you're going to be sent to Iowa because you just said something popular about a fade.
I hate the fade route with a burning passion.
You
But
do
at this
hate
point
it.
in the season, the hit rate on a fade route to Isaiah Hunter is a lot higher than handing it off to Emmett on 4th and short.
I just, there is not a full trust in running the football, so it makes you do quirky things. Okay, maybe it just does that to coaches. I watch the Kansas City Chiefs, and they get into the red zone, and all of a sudden Andy Reid is like, "Hey, let's be as wild as possible." And maybe that's just, maybe that's in the DNA of coaches. It just, I don't know. There's fully trust in let's just line it up and move it down the field because Dana likes to throw the ball on first down there, and it seems like if it's not completed, it just stunts the drive. And I thought that's what happened because they were moving down the field. And I'm like, and I said, let's just get the points. Okay.
Nebraska,
let's kick a field goal. Let's go up 3-0. Because especially if you're going to play in close games, if that's your mantra, now it didn't come back to bite Nebraska, but it almost did. Don't you think as many opportunities and put points up as possible? I don't know. It's just a personal thing that I thought, oh boy, this might be the sign of the day. And who would have known that we'd have these runs of 2 touchdowns, then 2 touchdowns. I mean, it was a strange game, and we probably should have figured that out from the start of the game.
I just don't know if Nebraska's 4th down philosophy is strategic or if it's ego. Because there's so many times where we see the quarterback, and I mentioned this last night, going varsity blues and mocks saying let's go for it, and he's calling the plays, and coaches say, okay, well, if that's what he wants to do, then let's go do it. But I would have to go back and look at all of Nebraska's 4th downs, and I will guarantee you I'm not going to do that. But it does seem that it's rushed, or you have what happened on the delay of game. It's unorganized, and either it's rushed and unorganized, or it's deliberation. Are we going to go for it? Yes, let's go. Let's get the play in. And then you've got delay of games. It just doesn't seem like when it's 4th down that there is a mission and this is what we are going to go do. And I go back to the beginning of the show and go back to last night. The blessing was that there was a delay of game because I don't have the confidence that Nebraska in 4th and goal at that situation was going to score points. So good. You got the delay of game. Let Cunanan get you the 3 points that proves to be the margin of victory. But Nebraska on 4th down does not seem to have a plan. It's let's just go because we feel like we got a little bit of momentum.
Yeah,
we don't have a plan to execute it.
It might be, and David brought this up because there's another scenario yesterday, and Rule still has the clock management issue. What did and again, Nebraska won, but they get the squib kick at midfield at the end of the first half. And nothing happened.
Well,
that was an opportunity. Okay,
go get points again. Yeah,
we could be in field goal range here in one play, and Dylan gets sacked, and it's time to go to halftime.
Yeah, no, I think the intent was maybe to try and go get points, but they said let's just get to recess here after that sack happened, because I was thinking the same thing too, because the return was pretty good. I mean, it was near midfield, right? It was 45 yard line. I'll say this, back to the run game and the red zone, what Nebraska was able to do with their emphasis, and that was get the run established. Nebraska ran for about 6 yards a carry on first down. So they were able to do a lot. And I really thought that was advantageous for him, not only because of the second and third down. Nebraska didn't have a whole lot of third downs because they were hitting plenty of big plays, but they were doing great on first down. Not as many first down pass play calls. So I think that probably kept Maryland off balance a little bit with having to worry about the run game a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, Nebraska also won a game yesterday, and they've been really good on third down. They've been terrible on fourth down. Maryland was 7 of 15 on third down, and Nebraska won a game.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just 1.7 of 12. I mean, they were getting carved.
Well, yeah. I would be curious, like, does Maryland comes to Lincoln next year, right?
I think so. I haven't looked at 2026 as we're holding on for dear life for 2025. All right.
Oh.
Sharpie,
Okay,
Elijah, what's going on
No.
here with the Jets and the Donks?
We're now down to fourth down. They're going to have to attempt a long field goal.
Is it a long field goal? The play clock's running down now.
Hey, just stop. But you know, like what happens to Maryland's roster? Because there's some good young guys in there. Like, is Malik Washington in Lincoln next year?
The offense stays
not playing for Nebraska, but with Maryland.
No.
Yeah, that would be very awkward.
Malik's going to get
awkward.
A monster check to go somewhere else. As good as well as he played in the face of pressure, man, that was nice.
Get him. Sorry. I think it might be a couple seconds ahead of you, Sharpie. Jets keep the offense on the field, and Justin Fields gets killed yet again.
Here's something I've learned. So last night I was doing our call-in show with Bishop, and he was at his house in Lincoln, and he has regular cable, like what is it, Allo in Lincoln?
I think so. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So in studio we had Fields and we have Cox. Like Cox cable is like almost a half a play behind y'all in Lincoln.
We were on the golf course watching the beginning of the game with the SIGEP Dads golf outing, and we're sitting there on the third to last hole and in the cart with Junior, and all of a sudden, and we're at Mahoney is where we were playing, and all of a sudden I just hear fireworks going off, like, you know, Nebraska volleyball just won or a touchdown won, because it is Gaza in my neighborhood when Nebraska scores a touchdown, and sorry, yeah, probably, and explosions happen. So I was like, well, wow, Nebraska must have scored, because we're watching on our phone. To your point about, you know, you being about 2 or 3 seconds or 2 or 3 plays behind, but it was just 2 or 3 long runs. So maybe the guy in North Lincoln shooting off his M80s was just shooting off M80s, or he was just happy Nebraska ran the football 3 straight plays. I'm not quite sure.
Or got a first down on 4th and goal. I was impressed, Gary, that you and Bish were actually on the air.
Yeah,
while the Cubs game was going on. That was because after we got done, I flipped over to your show and I'm like, oh my God, the Cubs game is on, and those guys were still on the air. So impressive.
We had a couple of awkward pauses as we were watching a play happen in the middle of a caller. Caller's making a great point, and he goes, "What do you guys think?" And there's just a pause as Suzuki hits a home run.
Sharpie's like, I think I need an old style.
All right. So before we get out of here, 5.5 is the spread. Right on. Good teams win. Great teams cover. Depending on where you were at last week, you know, Nebraska against the spread the last 2 weeks. So 5.5 on the road. This is also maybe a sign of growth. Second straight week, Nebraska's gone on the road and they're a favorite.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 3-pointer. It's going to be another tight ball game. There's going to be mistakes by Nebraska. There's going to be plays made by Nebraska. PJ Fleck and his Gophers they'll hang around. They'll grind it out, and I don't think it's a situation where Nebraska can't win. It's going to be tight, and it's going to be tight even if Nebraska plays cleaner. I mean, I think Minnesota is pretty formidable with the environment, and I know there's going to be a ton of Nebraska fans. We'll be up there, Average Joe Sports Show Road Show Friday for pre and post game, and then we'll do our weekend edition from the Graduate as well in Minneapolis Saturday when you're pouring your Bloody Marys, win, lose, or draw. So we'll be up there for Friday and Saturday, Graduate Minneapolis with the Average Joe Sports Show. So fired up for that. It's going to be tight, and it's just maybe the magic runs out. I haven't quite made my decision, but they just gotta tackle better. They got to be better against the run, and I know Minnesota's more of a passing offense this year. It's going to be pass rush. It can't look like yesterday for Nebraska at all defensively, and it needs to look similar offensively with what they did in the run game.
You know, one things that I think that was Raiola's was that his first 2-minute win?
Yep.
As I was watching the game again last night, I'm thinking he does not look like he did against Iowa last year. And that was the end of the season when he was supposed to have shown growth and maturity. And the Illinois game was bad. The Iowa game, when you had a chance to go down the field and win a game that you had pretty much dominated for the most part. And that moment was too big for him. Yesterday, he made the throw to Lindenmeyer, who came through with a great catch and run after. And then, the turf monster got him on the fadeaway pass. Who saw that coming, but he had the arm strength to get it to the open receiver. He threw a nice pass to Dane Key. Yesterday, I think was a great moment for Raiola, that if they are in a tight ball game on the road, they just go back. We did it last week. I think there were some demons exercised, in late game situations where he got a chance to win, and he finally got one, and he did it on the road. So good on him. That ought to give him some confidence going into a game like Minnesota, where they're going to be better. They're going to be better coached. He's going to have pressure. There's going to be a lot of Husker fans there, but it's still going to be a Minnesota road game. Better for Maryland, Minnesota than it was for Maryland yesterday. So good on Raiola for getting a 2-minute win and on the road.
I'll keep this simple. Based on what I've seen so far this season, I have a good amount of confidence that Nebraska can go put up 30-plus points a game. Based on what I've seen from Minnesota this year, I do not have as much confidence in their ability to go put up 30-plus points. So I like Nebraska on a Friday night. I think the defense is not perfect. The offense is not perfect, but I think they actually play complementary football. The defense usually gets the offense some opportunities, if not the special teams does. Nebraska's offense does a pretty good job of scoring 30-plus points. I don't know if Minnesota's got that in them. It more comes down to Minnesota's defense holding Nebraska's offense down to give their team a chance, as opposed to their offense going and putting up yards on Nebraska's defense. And I don't see Minnesota's defense there. As I said, they're opportunistic, but they're not like a totally dominant defense. So I like Nebraska's chance in this football game for that reason. I think you can go outscore them.
Yeah, I think if you're picking Minnesota, you're picking it because of past history. You said, well, Nebraska just doesn't. Minnesota's got their number and they don't play well there. Well, there's a lot of things that are going opposite of what normally happens to Nebraska, and this would be one of those. Nebraska's the better football team. They are on the road. They've got to deal with the quick turnaround, any injuries that are of note, but they have a formula to go and win a road game. It doesn't have to be super pretty. It just has to look good when you walk off the field and you got a victory. But also, I think you'll see more of the quick game. I think that can get Minnesota. They got one of the best defensive players in the back end, yes, who had a pick 6 last night. But I think the quick game, and I think I know you brought up Schmidt. I just think that this is Emmett's on a roll, and Emmett's a featured guy, and I think they will say, Emmett, you know how to handle this. We will feature you, and you go do what you need to do.
Little payback, absolutely. The clip is alive and well. Elijah, you put out on at Herbalescence. The Emmett Johnson's had this game circled for a while with going back home to Minnesota. He's pissed they didn't recruit him, remembers that, and has used it a lot of years to kind of fuel him. And he's happy he's at Nebraska, clearly.
And you know what? And
60% chance of rain Friday in Minneapolis, as I look at it now. Should be around 20% by kickoff.
But it won't be cold. Remember the game? Remember the hoodie gate?
Yeah, I was up there with Searles.
Yeah,
yes,
and that was in the middle of October, and it was freezing.
It was brutal. About 65.
Yeah.
Thank you, global warming.
Wow.
And don't forget, next Sunday we'll have a full comprehensive breakdown of Nebraska BYU exhibition basketball.
Nice.
Season tips off. So really going to study that hard. So be prepared for that on Sunday.
No, you should, because either the first or second pick in the NBA draft will be in attendance. By the way, the Ken Palm rankings dropped today. Creighton's 41, Nebraska's 51 in the Ken Palm rankings.
All right.
You guys, it's Ken Palm Sunday.
It is wild that 51st in the country is good for 14th in the Big Ten.
Yep. Two other things here. One, the thing about Emmett and not getting so caught up in, hey, man, I'm payback, is this team seems to understand the script. So guys have his back, so they want him to enjoy that moment. You're kind of seeing that with this team, which, They're starting to show their character, building character, revealing character. The other thing, as you go off to your football, make sure that you log on to BTN Plus, because we are having the #1 volleyball team in the country against the number 12 volleyball team in the country. And at the top of this hour, it's on BTN Plus.
What's on BTN right now?
They have other volleyball that's on today.
I mean, not two ranked foes. Okay.
Not two ranked foes.
Hey, it's frustrating. They got to find a reason to get people to buy BTN Plus, though.
I just hope that whoever is doing the match on the Purdue end, it's not like a freshman journalism student, because if they are not very good, and all these Nebraska fans that are going to be watching, because we'll be watching as well, don't just crush this person. So I hope maybe it's like the regular broadcasters, because BTN Plus for the #1 versus number 12 team doesn't seem right.
I should have sent my guys out there.
I was going to say, if it is a freshman broadcaster, it better be one of Bill Doleman's freshman broadcasters.
Damn straight.
Because they'll sound better than the pros.
They are future pros for sure. Pride of Fairbury is Bill Doleman, the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, Elijah Herbel, and Chris Schmidt. Thank you for hanging out on Sunday Live with the Average Joe Sports Show. Like and subscribe. YouTube 7 days a week for you. We will talk to you next from Minneapolis, and we'll talk to you tomorrow from KFOR 4 to 6. Catch Gary and Matt 6 to 10 on 1620, and appreciate all of you for checking us out. YouTube, like and subscribe. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, also for the pod download. Enjoy your Sunday football. Thanks for tuning in.